What's up, guys? I'm your host, John from Reptile, and tonight I tell you why you should never finance your reptile. Now, financing might seem like a great option to kickstart your collection or get that animal that you've really been dying to have. But there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it, and very few reasons why you should. Now, if you're like me, when I got into the reptile hobby, I started going to reptile shows and started buying snakes there, and one day I just saw this beautiful scaleless snake that I've never seen in my life, and the breeders told me that it was one of the only ones that were produced in Colorado, and from that second on I just had to have it. Now, when I returned to the reptile shop, I went through and did a financing option, and was told that if I paid off my loan within 90 days that I would essentially just be paying the cash value for it plus a small fee. However, once you pass that 90 days up, then your interest rate is incredibly high. Now, I was making payments all of the time and never really missed payments or anything like that. But if you are considering financing your reptile and you're thinking to yourself, well, I can crunch some numbers, I can save a little bit of money here and there by cutting out Netflix or canceling my cable or this or that, well, then you're already bound to make a bad decision. If you're really good with your credit and you've got a really solid job and you've got money saved in the bank, well, then maybe financing could be an easy way for you to boost your credit even more. However, if you do have that money saved, just buy the reptile outright and you will not have any issues. I think that would be a better way to go if you're considering getting that dream snake or that dream reptile. But if you're thinking about financing, well, then you really need to weigh your options. So I bought this guy, and I was making payments, like I said, on time every week, and then I ended up wrecking my car. Now, whenever I wrecked my car, I lost my job, and then I ended up falling behind on payments, which brought the total cost of the loan higher than I actually was supposed to pay for him. It actually brought it far above that because I had missed maybe 4 or 5 payments, and unfortunately I'm still missing payments. So learn from me and do not make that mistake. If you're considering financing because you want that reptile that you just can't live without, well, then you're probably already heading down a road that you should not be heading down, because you're making an impulse decision, and that's always a bad decision. Now, if you can really save up for that reptile and set aside money, well, that animal may be there in the future, and if he or she is not there in the future, well, then somebody else is probably going to produce that animal, and you actually might have better options when it comes to different morphs and getting what you want, or even getting things in addition to what you want. Now, when I bought this guy, he is just a pastel scaleless, probable yellow belly, even probable micro scaleless, but he was very expensive at the time. Now, since I bought him, people like Will Banks have started coming out with a lot more scaleless projects. Even Nerd has a lot of scaleless projects. I think Always Evolving Python, Miguel at Always Evolving Pythons is coming out with a bunch of scaleless stuff, and so the value is actually dropping, and if I had saved money, then I probably would have been able to afford an even cheaper one with additional morphs. So that is always something to keep in mind, that projects are always evolving. People are always working on the projects that you want, And by the time you come up with enough money, chances are you're going to be able to get into a project that's got even more morphs than what you were originally desiring. So always keep that in mind when buying a reptile. I probably will not be financing any more animals in the future unless I know that I am good for it. And like I said, if you're thinking about financing because you don't have the money then and there, then you probably don't need to be financing at all. So even though I have the most awesome snake in the world, according to me, these projects are always evolving, and you can always save money if you're patient. Now, reasons why financing can be a good option is to raise your credit very quickly. Your credit can go up significantly if you're able to pay off the loan, especially before the contract is over. Like I said, my contract was to pay off in 90 days, and it would be as cash value with I think like a $40 fee or so on top of that. But that's really not that bad. But I paid $1,800 for this guy, and actually the price of scaleless has gone down a couple $100 since then, and with that you get additional morphs that he doesn't have. But I actually do think he's got some really good morphs in there. If he proves out to be yellow belly, then I can make ivories, scaleless ivories, which would be really, really awesome. But I shouldn't have financed. I just was scared that he would go quick. There was a male and a female scaleless in his clutch, and then a bunch of other female scaleless heads that were in the clutch that were yellow belly. There was a champagne yellow belly in there, and a couple other different things, but he was the only scaleless male, and I know that females have been having a hard time reproducing, if they have even reproduced ever. So this is why I picked him up, because I know that the scaleless males, as far as I know, can reproduce without any issues. So I'm excited and happy that I got him, but as far as putting me in a hole that I don't want to be in, that is definitely what has happened. But that's okay, because I wouldn't trade him for anything in the world, and whenever he's ready to reproduce, it's going to be an awesome day, because I'm probably going to pair him to almost every female that I have. He's probable microscaleless, which means that I can potentially produce microscaleless babies, 100% microscaleless babies. So then I'll be working those projects back into each other. But if money is an issue for you and you're already suffering with your credit, or you're you know, working kind of like a part-time job, or a job that you're just not happy at, or you're having issues with your vehicle, or you just got a lot going on in your life, well then I really recommend just sticking to something that you can afford and buying it outright. Financing is probably not the best way to go. If you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe.